Can you imagine a life without money? What if you didn't have to work for a living? Surprisingly, this reality could be closer than you think, and hardly anyone's thinking about it, except our guest speaker, Sylvain Rochon. Sylvain is a futurist, an entrepreneur, and author of Engineering Paradise, Are You Ready? Today, he's going to tell us how AI and COVID will force us into a new economy. Please welcome Sylvain Rochon.
Thank you, Paul. Um, I think I prefer to start talking about myself because I call myself the Paradise Engineer. It always raises questions like, what does that mean? Well, first off, I am an actual engineer. Like, I am a chemical engineer by training. I also have a degree in biochemistry. And then I did another degree in education, which I discovered was my true love. It's really about sharing information and telling people about all this technology and all this engineering that's happening, the innovation, the pioneering by many individuals around the world. And I also am fascinated by the universe, like how it works, and our discovery of what the universe contains, and how we can manipulate it, and all this stuff that we call science, right? And so my first career was actually as a teacher in the high school, and then I did my middle school. I taught later at college, university levels, alongside with some of my initial businesses, which were more in technology, in IT. Here being Ottawa, it's a hotbed for of lots of innovators, and so I've met many of them, and I've been one for many years, and still I'm building new businesses. And a few years ago, while I was doing all this stuff, I realized that we have the opportunity with how things are trending, especially surrounding artificial intelligence and automation, to transform the economy to something more beneficial for humanity. And then I thought about it some more. It's like, wait, this is actually not just desirable, it's something that we'll need to do. We will need to change the economy. It's unavoidable. And I have to explain myself and why. Because it's not the first time that somebody says, well, we can make the world a better place. We can change things. Yeah, but things don't change just because we can. Sometimes it requires some kind of pressure, an economic, social pressure to change from the status quo to something vastly different. And this was my realization, where looking at how technology was bringing us, where we were headed, and our understanding of the world in general. So, well, there's not only an opportunity, but we'll need to change it. So might as well change it into something that is great. So to explain this, I have to talk about artificial intelligence. There's a lot of people that have very different idea of what that is. In professional circles, AI, artificial intelligence that we have today, we call narrow AI or weak AI. Basically, you have expert artificial intelligence systems that are extremely good at doing exactly one thing, like interpreting what you're saying, the Amazon, the Cortanas, your digital assistant. They're great at understanding what you're asking of them, and then they're not that great at executing certain tasks. But then we have amazing AI that are able to narrow down search engines, that are able to suggest things on Amazon or on Netflix, for example, like new shows. They're great at doing that. We have AI now that are amazing at analyzing data. We have AI that's been great at playing games like chess, Go, and so on. We've also had, over the last few years, even more amazingly, AI that's capable of doing creative things, like the first movie trailer called Morgan, a thriller called Morgan. The trailer was made by an AI entirely. So amazing stuff. There's a robot called Shimon that's able to intuitively create music and even recently rap with rappers. So we have AI that's able to do very niche things very, very well. In fact, so well that at their very narrow tasks, they're able to do things better than an expert human being at the task. And these AI are being deployed in society and economy kind of sneakily. It's because they're not sold to the consumers as is. They are part of a package, part of a software. And in the fine print, they say, well, it's AI empowered, but it's all there. It's invisible. And very, very soon we'll start seeing AI cars, self-driving cars. They're already on the road in certain areas. Those will be more visible because you'll be starting to see cars driving around with no driver. Then you see it's actually automated and there's an AI behind it. But most AI are invisible to us. We're just using our systems and we just figure they're more effective and they're nicer, higher quality, new versions. It's great. But there's actually lots of AI we're interacting with every day. And interestingly, and this is a study that was done by Nick Bostrom, who's a pretty famous, I believe, American philosopher and scientist. When he asked about AI experts when the AGI would emerge. AGI is a artificial general intelligence, essentially the first intelligence that would have the same level of cognition as a human being. When would it emerge? And on average, AI experts anticipate, including myself, that it would emerge before the year 2040, which is 20 years from now. And it could happen much sooner than that too. So why is this important? Well, it's a pretty small time frame for an AGI, basically an artificial intelligence that has, as a whole, a strong AI that's able to mimic human capability. And in the meantime, we have all these narrow AIs that are able to be better than us at doing very specific tasks. And they're all deployed and they're communicating with each other from different providers, different companies, governments and whatnot in a network through the cloud. So the AGI most likely won't be a unique invention by one person in their basement. It likely will emerge from all these billions of AIs that are all communicating with each other, each one of them being an expert at exactly one thing. Then you end up communicating with an AI through the internet that's capable at a million things, and each one of those things better than a human being. And this way before 2040, because it's happening right now. If we look at statistics, like in 2017, 2018, there's a bunch of researchers, including analysts at McKinsey, for example, mentioned that, or did the analysis and said, well, right now, this was 3 years ago, at that point, about 47%, 53%, depending on the research, of jobs could be automated. That was 3 years ago. And they're at high risk of automation. That's why they say that. And in my own analysis, projecting a little bit farther into the future, because then they were saying about 2017, I suspect about 70% of all jobs will be automated, even though technically 100% will be by 2040. Only 70% of them will. But I'll get to that, and it's why 100% is the possibility of all the jobs, and we only have 70% of them actually automated. It's because of the human factor, demand. We don't want, as consumers, everything to be automated. We want to interact with people. We want certain things to be done by people. Like if you go to a doctor, yeah, sure, you can have an AI doctor in your home on your smartphone telling you what's wrong with you. But sometimes, because it's your own health, you want a human being there. Another example, if you want to eat at a fast food restaurant, you probably don't care if there's a teenager there at the desk, at the counter, taking your money. You just want to have your hamburger or whatever it is you eat. But if you want to have a gourmet experience with your family, it becomes a social experience. Maybe you do want to have a human chef there to speak with you. Maybe you do want to have the waiter or waitress there, giving you some occasions for jokes and kind of a bantering with you and enjoying the experience with you. So there would always be a certain amount of human interaction as that is demanded by a consumer, by human beings, because we are human creatures. But fundamentally, what we're seeing as futurists is that the near future is one where AI is so sophisticated and so expert, so good at what it does, that if we want to keep up productivity or increase productivity in the economy, we can't be participants, integral participants in it, because we can't improve our own human productivity except through the use of tools. That's how we became more productive. Well, now it's the AI that's self-learning, that's more effective than us, that's thinking for itself, that is the tool. We are essentially not necessary in the near future to participate in the productivity aspect of our community, our society. So the whole measurement of the economy is GDP, gross domestic product. How much are we able to produce per capita, for example? If AI on its own is able to produce more than if we were involved as workers, companies that want to compete for our dollars don't want us there as employees, unless there's a demand for it, unless somebody wants to have a less efficient, less productive, but more human interaction with a product or service. That's why I'm saying about 70% of jobs will be automated, and the other 30% will be there not because the human being makes is able to be more productive, but because there's a demand for humanity, for social interaction with the actual service provider or worker or whatnot. And those jobs would all be creative, in entertainment. They would be social, because we all want to, for the benefit of humanity, for the benefit of our environment, we all desire to have high productivity, high efficiency. That's just the nature of things. So we're essentially demanding ourselves as consumers out of our own jobs through the way the economy works, through competition. Companies will just, as it's been going on, especially during the pandemic, companies will just automate and add more AI and invest in automation because human workers are a problem. So they're investing right now. In fact, experts have said during the pandemic that the adoption of AI and automation has accelerated within 1 year by about 5. So that 2040 mark, which I established in about 2018 when I wrote my book, and the other experts as well, that's now 2035. Adoption, acceptance, investment in AI and automation has accelerated by a factor of 5. Now, some people would say, correctly so, that when there's a new innovation occurs, well, there's jobs that are put to the wayside, but also there's a bunch of jobs that are being created. That is true. It was true. It remains to be true. It's still true today, and will be true in the future. What we seeing as a difference now with AI is that the AI itself, we have AI that exists, even created by Google several years ago and more by others later, that are able to create other AIs that are very good at doing other tasks that just emerged. The time it takes to retrain a person is typically a generation, because you don't retrain a coal miner whose job is going out the wayside into a software programmer. You train them into mining something else, but the whole mining industry is going automation. You have to retrain a whole generation of workers into something very different that would be hard to do for them, but their kids can certainly be trained into that new job that's emergent. So it's typically cycling from one domain that gets phased out, going into a new one that's innovated in, is usually a generational thing. Things are moving way faster now, and we have AI that can take on a new task much faster, and they can put in 1 million hours of human practice into a minute of training. They're automatically better than anyone we will train in 20 years, because that's your kids. They have the AI doesn't need to go through school for 15 years to be trained in something different that's emergent. So bottom line, just in conclusion for that, the economy that is based on human beings working like cogs in a machine is something that's going away. It is unsustainable in a very short term. We can't do it. Right now, the gig economy is expanding. More people are Uber drivers, Airbnb, and they're doing tasks and jobs on the side as independent consultants, but attached to a concept like a company like Uber. Those are the first that business that is taking up slack of loss of jobs, especially permanent jobs. Those would be the first that would be automated within the next 5 years, because they are repetitive. They tend to be repetitive work, easy to automate. So suffice to say that this whole economy, the way we've been running for hundreds of years, it's a house of cards. It's unsustainable. We need to move away from it. And my ideology is that as a paradise engineer, so instead of waiting till the house falls apart completely, how about we design a new economy that favors us better, that makes things better for us all? It's an opportunity for us to design something great, get the humanity into a golden age. The old economy was based on scarcity. The new economy, the reality today is that we're in an abundance of resources in our current economy. There's more resources to go around. You've heard before, there are more empty homes than there are homeless, yet they're not in the homes. We throw away 30% of our food, yet if we reutilize that food to feed the hungry, every hungry belly would be full. And there's more room for productivity. We have the means, like with vertical farming as example, and even cultured meat, if you want to go into to meat production that doesn't kill animals, where we can get like 300-400% more yield per square meter and produce our food inside our city boundaries without waiting 6 months for the food to arrive from California or another region. We have the technology and the means to actually feed everybody on the planet, no problem. To put a roof over everybody's head, no problem. While we have less impact on the environment. Simultaneously, we can pull water directly from the air. I know of a material that's been researched on for many years. Right now, it's going commercial. A recyclable material that doesn't get used up. Every kilogram of that material will draw 17 liters of water from the air, even in desertic weather. You can have that at your home. You can have purified water to drink at your home without depending on the government to distribute the water. All this is real. It's out there. It exists. We can create a new economy where people don't need to work for a living anymore, because that is unsustainable. So instead of people working as an integral part of productivity, which of course we can't, automation will take care of that. We can have people working for things that we consider valuable for our society without being part of productivity. Everybody can agree that parenting is a valuable passage of time. 41% of Canadians volunteer at least 500 hours a year. We feel whatever we volunteer in, because there's no money in it, we feel that's valuable expenditure of time. We feel that our hobbies are a valuable expenditure of time, and others see that as well. We see being a family member, a friend, a lover, we see that as valuable, but there's no money in it. So our current economy doesn't consider that as valuable. Yet socially, we do see that all of those things as valuable. So a new economy can be based on making sure the abundance of resources are distributed so that everybody can be in a position to self-actualize into whatever they feel is valuable and contribute to society. They're valued the way they feel is best. That's the opportunity now, because we have to change the economy anyway. So might as well design one where everybody's fed, everybody has a roof, and everybody can self-actualize. We have the technology, we have the knowledge. All we need now is the will to do it, and the will to change from a system and systems, the economic system, for example, that we've been operating on for hundreds of years, to something that we don't know. So it's scary. And also a political system that is extremely slow, and the politicians would tell you still follow rules and processes that date from the 19th century. That's something that we can change, because we need to change how we make decisions as well. And we have to change systems. So let me illustrate a little bit what the difference between a current system situation looks like, something familiar to you all, and what that same situation would look like in a resource-based economy, in a new futuristic economy. Like, imagine a single parent family, which is fairly common in Canada, 2 kids, one in kindergarten, the other one, let's say, elementary school. Now, the parent, of course, needs to take care of the house, the family, needs to take care, of course, of the work, because the expectation is that that person needs to participate in productivity, because that's the fundamental piece of the current economy. Each adult has to participate. Otherwise, you are a burden to the economy, and everybody else is contributing to make sure you're going to stay afloat, at least with the safety net we have in Canada. So this person is working 8-10 hours a day. So let's say on average 40 hours a week, just to be clear and fair. But also taking care of all the household stuff in the house. So the kids, of course, they have to be in kindergarten or school because the mother or father is not there a lot of the time. And even if the parent is at home, there's all these other tasks from the home that need to get done. So the person is physically there, but emotionally absent for certain parts of the day because things need to get done, and the kids are too young to help out. So, but that's reality today. It's not surprising. It's not considered as bad. But let's look at a potential future where you have automated systems that take care of the productivity. So that taking care of the food coming out of the farms, bringing the food over to the center of population, distribution to the home. We've seen this year. I've been using an app to buy all my groceries. For the first time, I don't go to the grocery store anymore. It's a person that farms the land with equipment. There's a person that drives over the food over to the grocery store. The grocery store is staffed, and there's some people that through the app shop for me and bring it to my home. There's a person involved at every level. I can tell you right now, each one of those steps have a commercial version that is 100% automated in the world today. There are 100% automated farms that exist right now, and farmers are in fact investing in more fully automated systems, fields to be plowed, but also taking care of animals. Some farms in Quebec are 40%, some dairy farms are 40% fully automated already, and they're investing in more automation. Self-driving cars, I mentioned earlier, well, that can bring the food from the farm over to the population centers easily. And we have self-driving cars and trucks already in the field running. And Amazon Go, and now even in Montreal, there's a grocery chain that started like fully automated grocery stores. So you go in there, there's no staff, but the AI knows what you pick out, and you leave without paying like at a cashier at all. The bill is just deducted on your phone, on your account. The AI knows what you pick out and what you live with, and charges you for it. No people involved. So we already have the way the technology for that app, where there's a person along the way, for me to press that app, choose what I need to for my groceries, and there wouldn't be any person involved in the whole chain from farm to my door, because a drone can deliver it to my door. There's a bunch of drones that exist. Even Domino's has been delivering pizza, in particular in the UK, for the last 3 years in certain areas, not everywhere, using drones. No delivery people. They've been experimenting with that for a long time. They've been a bit thinking ahead in how deliveries would be done. So if we go back to that single parent family in the future, where all these things are automated and productivity is automated, well, that person doesn't need to work for a living anymore. But that person can choose to volunteer, to spend time doing all sorts of other things. But these automated systems already provide food out of consensus, social consensus, that this is the right thing to do, to everybody. So there's no worry about home. There's no worry about security. There's no worries about food, because the resources are the basic resources are actually distributed from automated system, and there's no one person that is controlling this. These systems can be put, just like Bitcoin, on an open, decentralized blockchain kind of system, where no one owns it, no one is controlling it. It's controlling itself based on rules that we have agreed upon as a society. So we can trust a system because there's no bias into it. If it's an automated system that is by design has no owner, and this person can decide, because one of his or her kids is in kindergarten, maybe educate the child, him or herself, instead of working as a volunteer, spending more time at home with the child. Could do the same with the child that's in elementary school, or maybe the school system is a little bit like it is now. It's a hybrid system. Spend some time with other kids and teachers, sometimes at home. The parent is there at home and doesn't need to worry about whether or not the person needs to work or be distracted. Once the kids get a little bit older, that person can decide to serve society in different ways based on what that person wants. This is a type of world that is possible with sufficient automation in place, and the willingness as a society to ensure that everybody has the basic needs met. A world like that is a world where work is not mandatory for adults. It is an option out of desire or pleasure. There's no real need for money anymore, even though money can be practical as a way to fairly trade between things that are valuable, because value is a subjective thing for people. That's a choice whether we'd have money or not. There would be no actual homelessness. Poverty would not be would be redefined as somebody that has only the basics but doesn't really contribute more. And how would we measure value in this system? Well, it would be just like we value interactions between people now. Like, some people value, like you value maybe your neighbor to a certain extent, but that neighbor may be more valuable to his or her children, for example. Value becomes subjective, not something you can calculate because we produce at a certain rate. Automation is taking care of all of that. So an automation is designed to not care about tangible value of these things. It cares about delivering effectively resources and production to us. So high social engagement, low or non-existent crime, no poverty, no homelessness, and still plenty of family quabbles, because that never goes away. Just probably not about money or worry about the future, because that would be completely fine. So that's my image of the future that is yet to be created and engineered consciously. Thank you.